Hi everyone, my name is Simon Mishevich from Optimize Accountants, and in this video I'm going to talk about starting or expanding your business in the United Kingdom or in the United States. So we're talking about cross-border, from moving from UK to US or US to UK. So let's get into the details. You can find some free online tax calculators, whether that's for the United States, IRS, or in the UK, HMRC. And you can get those on our website using that QR code just showing now. All right, so expanding in your business into the UK or US, what do you need to think about? Well, this video is really useful for anyone that is looking to start or expand. So it's not just starting, it's not just expanding, it's really thinking about both. And of course, we need to focus on the US and the UK. If you need some tax advice, make sure that you get some international tax advice from me using that QR code just there. All right, so let's now talk about what you need to think about. And the first thing is, I'm going to talk about from personal experience because I have a business in the US and in the UK. So I really want to talk about what's going on here. We're talking about product, service, demand versus supply, and culture. Big subjects here because we're talking about my line of work, which is giving people tax advice across the pond in the US or indeed the UK. Then there's many things I need to think about, and for your business, whether you're selling products or services, you need to think about as well. The first thing is demand and supply. There's no point developing the very best product if no one wants it. Now, I say for me, because I know that if people are looking to expand into the US or the UK, they're going to need some tax advice. They're going to want to set up the right tax structure for their business. So I know there's demand. Do you know if there's demand in your market? And then there's the other side to it of culture. Now, between the UK and US, they speak English. Now, pardon the pun, because obviously English is really more associated with the United Kingdom, but both countries, of course, the citizens of both speak the same language, but there are cultural differences about how they go through business networking, the development of their business. In the UK, it's fair to say that there's a lot more people that will buy online than there will be in the US. There is a cultural difference in the US whereby they want to get to know you better than the UK, in my opinion. And that's only really speaking to people over in Orlando, Florida, versus, let's say, in London, United Kingdom. So things to think about is really looking at where your market, your product or your service lends itself into that country. Culturally, does it fit? Is there demand? And if so, what do you do next? Well, my view is really looking at competition and the gap in the marketplace. Now, even in my business, there is competition, and I think competition is healthy. I think people that look at competition as being negative or something that should be fearful of is nonsense. There are many good firm of accountants that deal the kind of same things as I do in terms of expat taxes. My focus is being niching in to the US and UK markets. Now, I know there's lots of expat international tax experts out there. They do an amazing job. They focus on Americans that live abroad, but they could be in different countries. What I really want to focus on is really niching in terms of just the UK and US. So it's helping people buy real estate in the United Kingdom or real estate in property in the United States. And that is my gap in the marketplace. I really want to look at people that want to invest or set up a business, and that's it. So really, can I help people move from, as an employee, move from the UK to US and vice versa? Yeah, of course. But actually my focus is around real estate and business setup in those two countries. Again, are there competition in those fields? Yes, but not as much competition as there is expats living abroad, for example. So what competition do you have? Really analyze what they do, look at their pricing point, look at their approach that they're taking, and then identify which ways you could do it better. And that is the point here. Competition is a great research tool to see what you can learn from them, but then also what you can learn from them from the mistakes that they make. So have a look at the reviews on the website. Things that are good, reviews are a fantastic source of information because they'll say, oh, such and such is really good, tentative, warm, always gets back to me on email, right? Can you learn from that? Of course. But then you also want to look at one-star reviews as well, not just because you might say, well, I want to make myself feel good about something, but you want to read the one-star reviews to see if there's opportunities for you to do something in your service or your product that is better than your competition. And again, maybe niching in. Export or set up. And what I mean by that, if you're an American business and you're delivering services, do you really just want to export your services and products over into the United Kingdom, or are you thinking about setting up shop in the UK? And you could be the other way around. You might be in London selling graphic design, and I just did a call with someone in funny enough, the United Kingdom, for selling their services in the United States of graphic design for a website, and really nice guy. And one of the questions that I had was, well, will you continue to just export your services to United States clients, or would you set up a shop or an office in the US and sell your services through that? And that's really a good question to have. What's the advantages? What's the disadvantages? Well, if you've got people on the ground, culturally, they'll fit. If you have American employees selling to American consumers, then they have the same accents, potentially, depending which states that you're selling to and where your employee is. But you could have very culturally similarities between the two. They could even meet up quite easily compared to being totally remote. So think about those kind of things as well. Live in the US, UK. Now, it's not as simple as just going over to the country. You will need to get a visa if you're going long term. But it is entirely possible, like me, who will go to the United States for a period of time each year, but will not get into the stage where I need a long-term visa. So I use a B1, B2 visa for my travel to the United States in Florida. But you don't necessarily need to have that. You could have a long-term visa in the United States or indeed the United Kingdom. So make sure you get a good immigration lawyer to help you with that discussion, which one is right for you. Legal system. Now, this is something that really catches a lot of people out, and it nearly caught me out as well, whereby you have a contract between you and your consumer, whether you're selling products or services. But do not rely upon your UK contract if you are dealing with people in the United States, especially if you talk about warranties and guarantees, because they may not work. And someone who reads your contracts may say, well, actually, this doesn't work for me. Legally, I'm just not protected in any way. Equally, if you're setting up in one of those countries, so if you're in the UK and setting up in the US, are you using a UK contract for your US entity? Well, that's going to fail because it's worded incorrectly. You may not be looking at the state law that you're in to make sure that your business, your products, your services really comply with the legalities in that state, never mind the United States as a whole. So make sure you get a good commercial lawyer to overlook everything that you do in your business. Some practical aspects of starting or expanding in the US, UK is business entity and tax strategy. And that's really where I can help you improve where you are right now, because you may not be aware of what structure you need. A lot of people will continue to be trading as a sole trader in their name and then working with Americans, and there's a lot of downsides to that. You're not really protecting yourself. There's a lot of risk. So getting a business entity, whether it's a US business entity, whether that's an LLC, S corporation, C corporation, or a UK company, which could be simply as an LLP or a limited company. Whichever one you choose in the end really does matter. You want to make sure you set up in the right way, because you can't undo your mistakes later on, not easily. Bank accounts. Now, for anyone that is going from the UK to the US or vice versa, they find it hard to set up a business bank account or setting up a personal bank account. I've dropped some links in the video description box below, to make sure you get hold of those links to really help you get a good bank account set up immediately. You don't have to take a long time to get one of those bank accounts set up. It took me pretty much about 2 hours to get one bank account set up, so you can do it too. Financial budgeting, bookkeeping. Okay, fair enough. It's easy for me to say it because I'm a geek of finances and money and tax. But really, you do need to understand where you're headed. You know, you wouldn't get in your car and then drive miles without really using a map of some description or a navigation system to help you guide where towards your destination. But actually, what is your destination? What does it look like in 1 year, 2 year, 5 years? What finances are we talking about here? People that don't plan will often fail. So fail to plan, plans fail, that kind of thing. So make sure you do your budgets, but also track where you are as well. There's no point spending lots of time doing budgeting. This one I'm going to be in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, if you don't track where you are. It's a bit like losing weight. I've done that many times over where I put weight on and I need to lose it. But the big thing is I measure two things. How much food am I consuming? How much exercise am I doing? Get those two right each week and I know my weight's going to come down. But many people don't do that with their finances, and that's where doomsday will follow.